Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and we have got a flurry of Chiefs news to talk about today, and that is the reason I'm making a video. So the Chiefs actually made a signing today, and they also are bringing a couple guys in on a visit that they could potentially sign, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it all in one video in the aftermath of the Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. Even 24 hours later, I'm still in shock, and honestly, I still don't love the trade because, again, if you guys haven't seen my video, the reason I don't really like it, kind of long story short, is that I think it forces this team to be super draft reliant, and the way Brett Veach's draft history is, I just don't love it. You know, it's a lot of lottery ticket draft picks. You know, you have to hit on those picks in order for the Hill trade to be worth it, and I just don't know if I trust Brett Veach to hit on most of those picks. But if you want to hear my full thoughts on it, just go back and watch the Tyreek Hill video from yesterday. But with all that being said, I'm going to get into the first big news of the day, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs signing Green Bay Packers wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling. This is a very interesting signing. I'll give my actual opinion on it in a second, but I wanted to talk about why it's interesting, and that's because I remember at the very beginning of free agency, the Chiefs were linked to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. Like, I wouldn't be interested in that. I wanted, like, Juju or Allen Robinson. They ended up getting Juju, and I'm like, okay, we're set. Like, we don't need to sign anyone else. Maybe, like, Jarvis Landry or something like that. But I was like, you really don't need to sign anybody. Maybe draft one. But anyway, I was like, well, MVS doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then now we've seen they traded Tyreek Hill, which kind of threw a wrench into everything. And then they signed MVS, who they were reported to be interested in earlier this free agency. And it almost makes me think that this possibility of trading Tyreek Hill was a possibility way before it got to us, like the news got to us that they were going to trade him. So I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, the Chiefs have now signed wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 3-year, $30 million deal. I want to say it was about $18 million guaranteed. So essentially it's only a 2-year, $18 million deal with a third dummy year added on with an option. Honestly, I know people are going to look at the price that they paid, $9 or $10 million per year, and they're going to go, well, that's kind of an overpay. Well, honestly, it's not really. If you've been paying attention to the market in recent years, honestly, in today's NFL climate, today's market, $9 or $10 million for a decent receiver is not that bad. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been an up and down player in the NFL, and I know a lot of people. There's this notion that he's really bad with drops, and he has been bad with drops in the past. However, this year he didn't have any drops. He actually was pretty solid with his hands this past year. No drops as far as I know. Regardless, Marquez Valdes-Scantling has a lot of traits you like in a receiver. He actually has pretty good size. He's 6'4" and still has speed to burn. He has 2,153 career receiving yards in 4 years with the Green Bay Packers. Also had 13 touchdowns. Look, is he Tyreek Hill? No, but this is a guy that the Chiefs are now signing at a much lower price to help make up for some of Tyreek Hill's production. He's going to come in here. He's going to be a deep threat. He's going to play some of that Z receiver like Tyreek Hill did when he was here and give them an element that they lost when they traded Tyreek Hill without actually having Tyreek Hill. And signing Marquez Valdes-Scantling doesn't mean that the Chiefs are done at wide receiver. From everyone that I know, the Chiefs are not done adding receivers. They could also, I heard they've been linked to Laviska Shenault of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That could be another player that they add. There's still some other names out there left in free agency, and I could also see them drafting a guy very high in this upcoming draft. So Marquez Valdes-Scantling isn't going to be their Hill replacement, and they're going to be like, okay, there we go, there's your wide receiver room. No, they're just adding another good depth wide receiver. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling is exactly that. Like, I'd much rather have him over Byron Pringle or Demarcus Robinson. I think he's an upgrade over those guys. Is he a world beater? No, but I like the signing. I'm not going to complain about this signing. It's not my favorite signing of the offseason. It's not a flashy one, but I like it. It's okay. It's a good signing. He's averaged 17.5 yards per catch since he's entered the league. He's a deep threat, another weapon for Mahomes, and he's going to help this roster become more balanced. It's going to make it not as top-heavy as it was before when they had Tyreek Hill. And as much as it hurts to have traded Tyreek Hill away, I can understand somewhat the rationale why they did this. Still don't love it. A lot of you have been trying to convince me on my last video that trading Tyreek Hill was actually a good thing. I'm not going to say that, but I understand where the Chiefs are coming from when they traded Hill. I just don't necessarily agree with it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the signing of Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Now, the other headline today for the Kansas City Chiefs was that they're bringing in Panthers linebacker Jermaine Carter on a visit. I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about him. He had 88 tackles last year for the Carolina Panthers. I talked to a few Panthers fans that I know, and they said he's an average linebacker. I don't know if he's going to make the roster. I can't say that. And look, they haven't signed him yet. He's only coming in on a visit for right now, so it's not like he's been signed yet. Assuming that they do, though, do I think he's a lock to make the roster? No, but this is a player that could probably be a Ben Neiman replacement. Could maybe fight for snaps at third linebacker. I could still see them adding a linebacker regardless if they sign this guy. I could see them drafting one or still signing one. I've heard a lot of smoke around Kaiser White, the former Chargers linebacker. So I could see them still doing a signing like that, even if they sign this Jermaine Carter guy from the Panthers. But wanted to let you guys know that he's a name to watch since he's visiting Arrowhead. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. All right, and the final note from today, this one is from Field Yates. He says that the Kansas City Chiefs are hosting San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman Arden Key on a visit to potentially be signed. And this one I love. Arden Key, if you guys don't remember, started out with the Raiders after being drafted there. Didn't work out. They cut him last offseason. He goes to San Francisco and actually has a breakout year where he had 6.5 sacks for the 49ers. Now, the reason for his increased success with the 49ers was because when they brought him in, they had him put on some weight, and they had him rush from the inside a lot more, and he was able to wreak havoc from the inside, and he was still able to play some defensive end. They moved him all around that defensive line. He had 6.5 sacks, a career high. He also had 19 pressures and 17 quarterback hits last year. I would love this for the Kansas City Chiefs because I think it immediately bolsters their pass rush. Also, Arden Key is still just 25 years old, so relatively young, still has a lot of potential. He has that added weight now that allowed him to get past guards from the inside. And that year with the 49ers where he was playing around a bunch of veterans and a 49ers defensive line group that has been good for a really long time, it seems like he's finally found his groove in the NFL. And I would love that signing for the Chiefs. This is one of my favorite headlines from the day, is the Chiefs bringing in Arden Key. If they can get that done, I would love this, especially before the draft, because it gives them depth along the defensive line and someone that could probably compete for a starting job, whether at defensive end or defensive tackle. If the Chiefs sign Key, I wouldn't want them to stop there either. I would still like if they went out and brought Melvin Ingram back before the draft, and then you go into the draft with not a great group, but a group that you can work with and maybe add to with a couple draft picks. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Just wanted to get that out to you guys today, all the news from the day and my thoughts on all of it. Would love to hear from you guys what you think of some of today's news, what you thought of the MVS signing and the other guys that are visiting. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this, and make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. I will see you all in the next one.